boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and ladies and gentlemen, this is the full season review of Marvel Television's Disney Plus miniseries, Agatha All Along, and this is a spinoff of the highly popular Disney Plus show. I think this was the first Marvel Disney Plus show, Wandavision, which premiered in 2021, during the pandemic and all that there. And we got blessed with that show. And this is the 11th television series to come out of the MCU, produced by Marvel Studios under the banner of Marvel Television. And this show stars Kathryn Hahn as our lead, Agatha Harkness. She was in WandaVision as the villain. Also starring alongside her is Joe Locke, Deborah Jo Rapp, Audrey Plaza, Shazir Zamata, Ali Ann, and Patty LaPone. This show blew my mind. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Just going to come out front with you. Finally, we got a good Disney Plus show out of Marvel. It's been some swings and misses. I mean, I'll point you to She-Hulk. I'll point you to Secret Invasion. Loki season 2 was all right, but it was kind of meh. But we were reeling and going to the film side of it all. Once again, swings and misses. Aside from Deadpool and Wolverine, I can't tell you the last Marvel film that I actually enjoyed from beginning to end. I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember. But yeah, they needed a win. They were in desperate need of a win. They being Marvel Studios, and I think finally they got a win. And now, I did have my problems with this show, which we're gonna go over, but the pros outweigh the cons leaps and bounds. I can't begin to express how much I enjoyed this show. This show was created by Jack Schaefer, who also worked on WandaVision, so they kept that continuity going. I'm gonna tell you something. Ever since Avengers Endgame, this is where it really started to come off the rails for the MCU. Everything was gold before Endgame, leading up to this Infinity War and then Endgame. All of the films meant something, leading up to this big event. And after that, we were kind of in this limbo, and we still are technically. We're in this little limbo here where we don't know where it's going. We got a clearer picture now, but I'm talking about when right immediately after Endgame. We really didn't know where we were going. Are we going to the mutants? Are we going multiverse? So on and so forth. Well, they chose multiverse, and the multiverse has not worked for the most part. They set up Kang the Conqueror as the big bad of this saga, which I think would have been interesting, but we all know what took place with Jonathan Majors, who was playing Kang the Conqueror, what took place in his personal life that ultimately got him fired from the role, and that role just being scrapped. And so it was, but aside from that, even if Jonathan Majors was a Boy Scout and none of that took place, the multiverse still would be crap right now. I mean, the movies just aren't hitting. They aren't hitting. Now, there's some hope in the horizon. You have Captain America, A Brave New World coming out next year, Thunderbolts coming out next year, Fantastic Four coming out next year, and it looks like it's leading up to something, which the excitement level is actually getting back to close to what it was in Phase 4. I think that's when Endgame took place, and so we needed that. But before we got to all of that, we really needed a win out of 2024. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine knocked it out the park. but on the TV side of things, we needed something. And Agatha all along was a long shot, to put it plainly. Let's be real. This is a side character in the comics. I mean, Agatha Harkness is a fairly known character in the comics. I never really followed her, immensely. Like, I'm a scholar when it comes to Agatha in the comics. I know a little bit about her character. And when she showed up in WandaVision, played by Catherine Hahn, I was like, okay, a little different because she's older in the comics, but that's fine. They made some changes, but they made changes to every character in the MCU. So I wasn't mad at that. But I enjoyed Catherine Hahn's performance, hence why she got her own spin-off show. And so this show is vastly different from anything else you've seen in the MCU. This is the magical side of the MCU. We've seen the technical side with Tony Stark. We've seen we've seen magic with Doctor Strange, I suppose, but not to this degree. Not to the witches side, the something that is plucked from lore that we know of, you know what I'm saying? So this is something that a lot of people know about. We know about the Wicked Witch of the West and the East and the North and the South or whatever from from the Wizard of Oz. So we know about witches, who hasn't seen The Craft? If you are around my age, you've seen The Craft in the 90s, and Practical Magic with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, and movies like that. So we're familiar with witches and the movie Witches, with Angelica Houston back in the day. Not that awful remake from a couple of years ago with Anne Hathaway. That was not good. But in any event, Witches is in the zeitgeist. So this is dealing with witches. And yes, we've had the Scarlet Witch, but we haven't really gotten the Scarlet Witch, that we know and love from the comics in the MCU. Yes, she's powerful. Yes, she's a beast. I think Elizabeth Olsen is doing a marvelous job with the character that she's been given. But how she is in the comics is far more potent than what we've seen on screen so far. And I've enjoyed what I've seen on screen, but just to compare the two. So this show, I did going into it, didn't know much about where we're going with this show. Is this going to lead anywhere? Is this like a one-off type situation where, it's just like filler within the MCU, not really connecting to anything else? Is just there, like Werewolf by Night, that little short film, or I don't know, how would you categorize Werewolf by Night? It's not a full-length movie, but it's a movie. It's like a short film. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't really connected to anything else. It could later on down the line, but as far as the main MCU, you're not going to see Werewolf by Night teaming up with Thor anytime soon, And so how is Agatha going to link up with anything else? And so we're off and running. If you follow the show, which I greatly appreciate if you do. If you're new to the show, welcome to the show, by the way. I did a review for the first 2 episodes of the season that dropped when they premiered, and I decided to wait to the end to do the whole show, not do it week to week as Disney Plus released it. So I think it's better this way because I have a greater appreciation, because I tend to get excited every episode, and then when the season ends and I put them all together in its totality, I'm like, it wasn't that good. And it kind of makes me sound like a hypocrite, like, oh, well, you enjoyed the other shows. Yeah. And so I just decided to link it up, and I regretted yet again doing that for this show, because just to jump ahead, man, episode 7 of this show is probably the best episode of television this year. I don't want to embellish and go, oh man, this is the best episode of television in the last 20 years. I'm not going that far. I've heard it described as such. So um, don't think I'm going off the rails by making that statement. I've heard reviews that said that. And I'm not mad at him for making that statement because it was awesome. Episode 7 was awesome. And we're going to go through the episodes. I'm not going to take too much time doing so, but we're going to go through the episodes and kind of break down how I felt about each episode. But before we get into that, as I stated, some of the actors or actresses in this show, let's address them first. First and foremost, Catherine Hong as Agatha Harkness is money. Her performance, her performance throughout this show was so good. I mean, so good. And this really goes to everybody. So I'm just going to summarize it with her since she's the lead. Everybody found the way in this show to mix humor, drama, I mean, every emotion you can think of. Every emotion you can think of, each character, each actress and actor, including Joe Locke here, they found the way to perfectly blend that in. The episode never got too heavy and it never got too silly. It just kept a kind of an uneven tone, and it needed to be an uneven tone for this reason, because it was moments throughout the season that you was kind of like, where are we going? We so up and down. It gets serious and then it gets silly and then it gets serious, and when you think about it, think about the show. Think about who's the lead of this show, Agatha Harkness. That character is so uneven. That is such an unreliable narrator. Not a hero in no sense of the word. She's a pure villain, and she's a villain throughout. And so, with that being considered, no wonder this show is the way it is, because that's how she is. That way is no way you can lose sight of that. And I thought that was brilliant. Simply brilliant. And Catherine Hahn did a brilliant job. Joe Locke as spoilers, by the way. If you haven't watched the season of Agatha all along, Joe Locke as Billy Maximoff. Yes, he is the son of the Scarlet Witch, and that is revealed in episode 5, I believe. But yeah, that was a cool reveal, even though it was telegraphed. And that's another thing. This show has so many twists and turns, so many reveals, that if you're a Marvel fan, if you read comics, you knew they were coming, but you still was excited when it happened. That's how well written and well acted this show was. You knew that Joe Locke was playing Billy Maximoff, even though he had this sigil, this curse that he couldn't, nobody can know who he is. Whenever he said his name, it would be blurred out to everybody. They couldn't hear it. And so, and including us, so we didn't know who he was until I think episode 5, when it was the big reveal. And even when it happened, you was like, oh. You know what I'm saying? It was so cool the way that it just played out, how you got invested in that character on his journey as well. Joe Locke. I mean, this is my first time seeing Joe Locke. I've seen him in something, but I never paid attention to him. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the first time I actually paid attention to him in something. Loved him. Can't wait to see him in more. This dude is amazing. Awesome performer. I cannot wait to see him. He really dove into this role. He embodied Billy Maximoff, this character. He went as far as to work with the same trainer that worked with Elizabeth Olsen, when she do her magic with the hand movements and stuff. The same thing, just so he can nail it. they can have that similarity, being as though they're mother and son. I thought that was cool, and you could tell the certain gestures that he do and stuff like that, and brilliant, brilliant. He did his homework. My one actress who was kind of like why, and that was Deborah Jo Rapp, who once again she was in WandaVision. She reprises her character and role here. Not long. I think she lasted 2 episodes, maybe, and I didn't understand why. And I love her. She is so funny. You may know her as well from that '70s show and other projects. But yeah, man, I was kind of disappointed that she left. Well, when it happened, but now I get it. Throughout the whole show, because she's not the only one. Nobody really came through this alive. Maybe a handful. I mean, this was a very dark show, to say it's super humorous at the same time, because the majority of the characters die in this show. I mean, what, 3 survived at the end? Well, 4 technically, but one of them, of course they were going to survive. Well, since I brought them up, Elizabeth Lloyd, Aubrey Plaza, who is been having a crush on her since Parks and Rec, but her in this show didn't know what she was, who she was, had an idea. It was kind of hinted to, but it didn't really reveal it until, once again, I think it was episode 7, until we actually got to reveal who she was actually playing. And she is Lady Death from the comics. And in case you don't know that character from the comics, it was actually Lady Death that Thanos was trying to impress, who he was trying to woo by snapping half the universe to impress Lady Death, because he was in love with Death. He was obsessed with Death. And so this is the character that he was after. And Aubrey Plaza in this show, I can see why Thanos will be obsessed with her. Yeah, she was awesome though. Loved her. The chemistry between her and Catherine Hong, mwah, chef's kiss, man. Every scene that they were together was electric. I mean, they ate up all the scenery. Beautiful, beautiful. My only knock on it is wasn't enough of it. It wasn't enough. I wanted to see more of that. Shashir Samata. I know I butchered her name, but she plays Jen, and she was on SNL a few years back, and I often wondered what happened to her, because I enjoyed her on Saturday Night Live. I mean, she was there for maybe 1-2 seasons, maybe, and boom, she was gone, and I didn't see her on anything else. And this was my first time seeing her since she left SNL. And when she first popped up on this show, I was like, oh, that's nice. I haven't seen her in a while, but I thought it was just a little throwaway character, because she's not a name yet, she's not a big name, but boy, big performance by her, especially in the final episode, or the second to last episode. I didn't know she had it in her. Did not know. Thought she was just a straight up comedian. She gave it. Now, she was funny throughout. All of them were funny throughout, but she was funny throughout. But her dramatic moments, her emotional moments, especially the one she had in episode 8, I want to say, was, ooh boy. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. I was like, wow, didn't know she had it in her. Awesome performance, all of them. I can spend all day talking about them, all of them. But the MVP of this show, is Patti LuPone, who plays Lydia. My God, I'm about to cry. As soon as I said her name, I started to tear up. Her performance throughout the show, all the way up, leading up to the greatest episode, episode 7, which is her episode, is unbelievable. You want to talk about a well written character, a well written show. We got seeds leading up to episode 7 that we didn't know until episode 7 came out. And it was so mind blowing because throughout the whole show up to that point, you're thinking this woman is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, just Looney Tunes and spewing out just random stuff throughout the show. And you're like, why is she so aloof? It was comedic, when she was doing it. It was silly when she was doing it. But when we get to episode 7 and we find out that she kind of, she's, how do I put it? She's not a time traveler per se. It's more of a non-linear type living. I don't know how to describe it. The way she moves through time. Like I said, she doesn't time travel. It's the way her mind works through time. It's like she's conscious at this point in time. At the same time, she'll flash to 100 years earlier or 10 days earlier or whatever. And she'll be in middle of conversations wherever she is. And all of a sudden in the middle of the conversation, her mind will flash to another portion of her life. And that's why it sounds like she's just randomly spewing out stuff, but she's not. She's in the middle of a conversation. And when episode 7 came around and it all comes together and they piece together everything that she was saying throughout the show for those first 6 episodes, and you're like, wow, that is amazing. And her performance, man, oh my God. It was amazing. It was amazing. I'm so happy with Patti LuPone. I'm pretty sure that when Emmy nominations roll around for this year's performances and whatnot, her name will be dropped. It has to be. If it's not, it is a crime. It is a crime against nature if she's not nominated. But all of these performers did an exceptional job. I'm not mad at not one performance. Not one performance in here was done bad. Honestly, everybody came to work and came to work to play. They did their job to the highest degree, and I can't be more impressed with this show. This season ends now. When this first happened, the last 2 episodes dropped at the same time. I sat down and I watched them, and I was like, what do we? Well, before it started, I'm like, where are we gonna go? How is this gonna end? Because, like I said, episode 7 ended so perfectly. If they would have ended it right there, I would have been happy. I would have been like, man, this was the greatest show ever. This was the greatest show Marvel has ever produced. Probably movie included. It will be up there with that, up to number 7. And then 8 and 9 dropped, and I was like, okay, well, where are we going with it? And honestly, people, this is my honest assessment. After I finished watching the very last episode, I was mad. I actually didn't like it. I did not like it. I did not like the way it ended. And I really had a fight within myself for like for like 6 or 7 hours. I'm being honest. I was sitting there, and this is the reason I was fighting. The reason I was fighting within myself. I can acknowledge that those were 2 great episodes of television. Episode 8 and 9. I'm like, man, those were so good. It was emotional. They had some funny beats in it. I mean, it was on par with the rest of the episodes, as far as the writing and the performances and whatnot. I think it was more of an expectation thing for me. I don't know. Maybe I was looking for something else and I didn't get exactly what I wanted. It didn't end the way I wanted it to. And so I got mad. And so what I did was I went back and watched it again. And when I watched it again, and for some strange reason, it was like watching it for the first time. I had forgotten everything that I had just watched a couple of hours earlier, and it was like brand new. It was like the scales fell off my eyes, and I could see this thing differently. I heard things differently, and I enjoyed it. I actually was like, man, this was perfect. This was great. It's still, I still feel that after seven, it was this was a tall task. You know, it was hard to stick a perfect landing after episode seven, because I feel episode seven was about as perfect as you can get, and you couldn't duplicate that. And that also played into my feelings the first time I watched eight and nine. And so it was hard, because in my mind I'm thinking, okay, if that's episode seven, these last two episodes are going to be twice as good. So that probably played a part. There ain't no probably in it. That's what it is. And so taking that out of the equation and just going into it, I had a different feeling. Now, do I like the direction that it's going? Yeah, in a sense, because it's setting up something more here. It is setting up something more, but I don't see where it fits in the rest of the MCU. Because now, spreading your wings and flying with this character and with a couple of characters, with Billy Kaplan, who is Wiccan in the comics, uh, having him out there now, and you have Agatha as his, I guess, spiritual guide, being as though she's a ghost now, by his side, and all this here, which is comics accurate, by the way, because it wasn't Billy Kaplan that, well, not Kaplan, that's the boy that he took over, but Billy Maximoff in the comics, Agatha is actually the spiritual advisor to the Scarlet Witch in the comics for a run. I do remember that. And so they're kind of doing the adaptation of that comic run, just flip flopping it with the son and the mother, I guess you could say. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play that out. But with that being said, you opening up that door, them going to look for Tommy, his brother. So where are we going to get this? In the, in the grand schemes of it all, will it be in Vision Quest, the show with Vision? Will it be in a Scarlet Witch movie, which they rumored is going to take place, even though nothing has officially been announced about that? Or will they give Agatha All Along another season, or Wiccan is his own show? I don't know. It's the uncertainty factor of it, and I'm kind of nervous that we're not going to get a resolution to it. You get what I'm saying? For instance, like in She-Hulk, which is a horrible example, but follow me here. In She-Hulk, we had Bruce Banner, who at the end of She-Hulk revealed that he has a son. Now, it is in the comics that he do have a son, and he revealed it on that show. That show was so bad, nobody watched it, and it pretty much been canceled and is not moving forward with that character or anything else. And so that lets me know, okay, we're not going to address that. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing like with Secret Invasion as well. It was so bad. There were some things in that show that was set up that has real world implications, in the grand scheme of the MCU, but they're kind of pushing it to the side. Going to the movie side, the Eternals. You have a dead celestial in the middle of the ocean. We haven't addressed that yet. Now, that's supposed to get addressed in Captain America Brave New World next year. So I guess they finally getting around to that. But what, it took about 3 years for them to actually address that? A giant celestial in the middle of the ocean. So I'm just a little nervous that we're not going to get a resolution to this. But I'm gonna trust them. I'm gonna trust them, especially after the popularity of this show and everybody received it well. I think I think they're gonna push forward with it. I think they're gonna move ahead and do something with this character or with these characters. And so, yeah, man. Overall, I'm not gonna go through all the episodes, but overall, I pretty much did. Uh, but anywho's, I enjoyed this. This was clearly the best Marvel show in a long time. Well, we needed this as Marvel fans, as MCU fans, as Disney Plus fans, because Disney Plus needed a win as well, not just on the Marvel side, but they're struggling with their Star Wars properties as well. So they needed something to drop big, and I think this did the trick. I would love to know, what did you think of Agatha all along? Oh, by the way, I give it an A. I think it was really, really good. Every episode was great. I'm gonna pick this weekend and I'm gonna go back and binge it. Watch them back to back to back, and see how it affects me in that viewing cycle. But once again, I would love to know, how did you feel about Agatha all along? Did you enjoy it? Do you think this is one of the best MCU shows? Do you think this was not one of the best shows? I mean, I can see where a lot of people get turned off by it, because there's no, punchy, pew, pew, pews. There was none of that, but it's still Marvel. But I want to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network, ladies and gentlemen. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel. Like this video, share this video. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for my little breakdown, review, whatever you want to call it, little talky talk about Agatha All Alone, which is currently on Disney Plus. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.